And I think I was doing a good job of masking the situation, the results, and just waking up and walking into rooms and environments and putting on this smile as if I got it all figured out. I got it, all put together, but I was shattered inside. I was living with all these prior decisions that I knew that I was doing, that other people knew what I was doing, and also like even deeper rooted, like things that I just was not proud of. And I was depressed. I was anxious. I had major fears, major insecurities. I was not confident at all. And the only reason that I've had success early on in my life and early on in my career was because of a certain skill set that I had, right? But you can only go as far as your self-image. Your self-image will eventually catch up to you, especially in business, and business will just heighten it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pay It Forward podcast. I am one of your hosts, Austin Seawarts, along with my co-host, Keegan Walls. And today we are sitting down with Jared Jaquish. Jared is my haberdasher.
That's the old school terminology to it. Tailor, wardrobe consultant, custom clothier, whatever it is you want to call it. So
there you go. So Jared, these are some pretty cool things. Jared sold over $6 million of clothes in the past 8 years. A lot of people can't sell that dollar amount in houses, right? $6 million in clothes, 8 years. That's no joke. On pace to sell over $1 million this year alone. He's in a company of over 700 salespeople. He's consistently in the top 75. He's achieved President's Club, President's Cabinet, President's Executive, and striving for chairman's this year, and the fastest person in the Minneapolis office to achieve all the club levels at Tom James, which is we work for. So,
yes, sir.
A lot of credentials, a lot of cool stuff. Very skilled salesperson. I know you don't like me saying that, but you're in sales, we're in sales. I think people are going to take a lot from that part of it, but I also know the beginnings of your story weren't as glorious. So
100% not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, before I get started, one of the things I just wanted to do is just thank you guys for having me.
Totally.
I've been fortunate enough to do some work with you, so I know you a little bit on a personal level, a business level, et cetera. So I do follow the podcast just because of our personal connection. And I think what you guys are doing is awesome. Just sharing people's stories and successes and trials and tribulations. And to be a part of this, to see your text come through a few days ago asking if I wanted to be present on today's podcast, I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to do my best to share my story. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And we're really excited to have you. So share a little bit about what you do now, what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm a haberdasher, a custom clothing person, wardrobe consultant, again, whatever it is you want to call it. And essentially what I do on a day-to-day basis is I'll just meet with individuals at their home or office a few times throughout the year, both men and women, and they'll utilize me for their clothing purchases. I feel like we live in an extremely busy world nowadays, and I feel like we don't put a lot of attention to our closets, what we have coming up throughout the year, and making sure that we're staying proactive and prepared for all occasions, any occasions, who we're seeing, where we're going, environments we're hanging out in, and making sure that we're branding ourselves accordingly and making sure that we're wearing the right outfits. So because it's a low priority for a lot of the individuals that I service and work with, which are more of your kind of higher end clients, they don't have the time to be doing shopping. And if they do have the time to be doing shopping, it's likely they don't want to do it. Yeah. They would rather do other things than go in a store and try on clothing. You know what I mean? It's just not fun. So to have like a trusted advisor within that world to help you, take a strategic approach to your purchases versus an approach where, ooh, that looks cool, let's buy it. And buy this a la carte piece. We bring it back into our closets. We stuff it in somewhere and we're like, I don't even know what this goes with. I just bought it because it looks cool, versus creating outfits for specific related situations. So,
yeah. Well, I know Austin's mom and wife. Thank you for that, because they're tired of buying his clothes.
So yeah, it's a unique world for sure. So
yeah. But the thing that attracted me to what you do is obviously come to wherever you are and not have to think about it. And I obviously am not under my mom's wing anymore. Don't get fashion advice from her, and Becca doesn't want to deal with that. So I'm like, I just need somebody. What? Give me some nice shirts that I can wear around.
Yeah.
This is what I wear most of the day, and that's fine. But when we go out for nice dinners or go give a presentation or did the suit for my wedding and like stuff like that, you got to have stuff to wear. And I've never liked wearing clothes that's just off the shelf.
Yeah.
It's like fitting like a paper bag.
It's just tough. I mean, it's tough to find things off the rack that fit, right? And it's just tough to create time in our lives to just, like I said, go do a low priority thing. So, again, like I said, the people that I work with are so busy. They just need help. They want help. They appreciate the help and the service and the guidance in an area that they don't want to pay attention to.
Yep.
So, I mean, when you mention convenience, I mean, that's the number one thing that we bring to the table, or that I bring to the table, is meeting you on your schedule, on your time, at your preferred location, having an intimate experience with each other, just one-on-one, versus walking into a retail store and having an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. You know, these individuals don't have a lot of experience in the clothing world. They're just a sales associate, part-time, collecting an hourly rate, where it's like, I live in this world.
Yeah.
You know, I study it, I breathe it, I emulate it, all for the sole purpose of like helping the clientele make the right decision or the right purchase.
And especially for stuff like, it's one thing to go buy some t-shirts online, but if you're going to get a nice sport coat, well, if you're going to spend $200, spend $350. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a ton more to have to go with you and have a nice fitting sport coat that you can have one or two items in your closet, or same with dress shirts and stuff like that. You're not going to have a lot of them. So, and if you can't afford to buy 10, well, buy one or two.
And we're not,
one or two every 6 months or whatever.
Absolutely. And we're not the least expensive option on the block.
For
right?
sure.
We're not made to
you don't want
that. Yeah, we don't want to be. We're not made to be that. If that's what you're looking for, I totally recommend clients going to your Men's Warehouse, your Joseph A. Banks, your big box retail stores. Yeah. I don't want to put you in a position of overspending or spending too much. And, you know, for those that think it may be too much, that's where the consultation process comes in, where we can really create a plan. And even if that plan has to be around an economical plan of what we maybe want to allocate, you know, towards our clothing for the year. And it doesn't matter what that number is, as long as the client has an open mind of staying consistent with it and making small drips throughout the year into certain little areas of their closet, whether it's shoes and belts, whether it's socks and underwear, whether it's t-shirts and polos, whether it's quarter zips and sweaters, jeans, you know, casual wear, into your pants, you know, your button downs, your suits, your blazers, your tuxedos, etc. Yep. So it's like we're a full wardrobe kind of process and consultation process. So there's a lot more than just suits, which is what most people think is all I offer, is just suits and sport coats and like super formal dress clothing.
Yeah.
It's more of just looking at this from a convenience model, essentially. So, yeah.
Love it. That's great.
Cool.
Obviously, I've been very successful doing what you're doing in the past 8 years, and achieved a bunch of awards and high-performing salesperson. But like I said, from what you mentioned, it hasn't always been that way. So why don't you share with us like what the beginning of your story looked like?
Yeah, I mean, this path to where I'm at right now, it certainly hasn't been like a linear path. And I have little like drip points all the way back to like when I was 7, 8 years old, into early elementary school or late elementary school, into middle school, into high school, into early college. And it's all part of my story. It's all part of my journey. But like I said, it certainly has been a linear one. In fact, it's been one of self-destructive behavioral patterns. So it's like we have in our lives, we have uncontrollables, which, you know, someone passes away, there's nothing that we can do about it. And those situations are difficult to navigate, but at least we can accept the fact that it isn't uncontrollable. And there's nothing that I could have done to cause that from not happening. And then there's what's called like self-destructive behavioral patterns that put us in a position where it was controllable. And then when we do certain things, it raises our anxieties, it lowers our self-confidence, it hits all of our insecurities, our fears, it increases our depression, and then navigating that way in life. And I ended up taking that path and learning a lot about myself in the process to where I'm at right now, which is in a lot more self-confident, you know, loving myself way right now. So it's like I could talk about all the successes, accolades from an athletic standpoint or an education standpoint, careers or different jobs that I've had. I've always been notorious for having success and success quick in those arenas. But I've also teetered this line where it's like I'll have success, I'll be moving forward, And then like I'll take steps back and then I'll move forward. I'll take steps back because I was having a battle with who I saw in the mirror. So when I was 7 or 8, I lived in a super small town, Martell, Wisconsin. It's actually uncorporated. There's one street that runs through it and then one lateral street that me and my family lived off of. So there's nothing to do.
That? What part of the state?
So it's kind of south from Baldwin. So if you're making your way towards Hudson, there's a small town that I was born in, Baldwin. It's probably 20 minutes or 30 minutes south of Baldwin, kind of in the River Falls area.
Okay.
So, but super small town, not a lot to do except just run around, play with sticks, hit the swimming hole, and then go down to like the basketball court that was all weeded out and the hoop was broken. It was just one of those towns, right? I had an older brother. He was 4 years older than me, older sister. She was 8 years older than me. I hung a lot around with my brother, and his older friends, because there was no one my age in the town. And that was my first time where I had a cigarette. I was like 7, man.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't think a 7-year-old is supposed to be doing this. But it's like I remember that point in my life, and reflecting on it now as if I had a kid and I understood that he like maybe puffed on a cigarette at 7, I'd be like, yeah. You're grounded.
You're never leaving the house.
You're never leaving the house again, right? And I grew up with 2 folks that had smoked, right? It was a normal setting for me, and that's probably why a reason why I maybe could have indulged it. That's just how I saw life, And then we moved from Martell to Chippewa Falls, and at that point I would have been in 2nd grade, I think, so 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and that's where I, started to kind of get into bullying a little bit and doing things in that manner, and then getting in trouble for that. And then I would get into middle school, and then that's where like my ego even got larger, right? And my attitude got a little bit bigger. And I got into situations in middle school where I had in-school suspensions and just detentions left and right. And I remember for the in-school suspension, it was because I told a teacher to F off at 12 years old, right? But it's like, when we look back on it, it's like, why was I doing those things? Like, what are these deep rooted issues that's causing me to make these decisions? Because it's not cool looking back on now. We think it's cool at the time when we're young and trying to present ourselves in a way amongst our friends and our groups, but it's not cool. And then I was in school suspension. I remember sitting in that all day and then getting done, walking across the football field, bawling my eyes out, because I had to sit in my basketball game, telling my dad, what happened, and him basically saying, you got to live with the consequences, and teaching me that lesson. And then I would get into high school, and then that's where the drinking started. 14 years old, like that's when I started drinking. And I think from 14 to about 30, 14 to 31, I think there was never a week that I had gone without having some sort of alcoholic beverage. I got athletic codes, in high school. So I wasn't proud of that. And then that led me into my early years of college when I was 18, 19, and 20. And that drinking led me into 3 underages, a DUI, and a disorderly conduct, and kicked out of school. And that was probably the first time in my life where it was just rock bottom. You know what I mean? And I'm sure we've all had those situations in our life where it just felt like we were in this hole that we couldn't get out of. And it was really real for me. And I remember getting kicked out of college for all of that I had just mentioned, and just sitting in my off-campus house or apartment in bed, waking up at 4 a.m. for this job that I was going to, this machine operator. And I'm looking to my right and I'm looking to my left, and I'm a machine operator, and I'm loading lumber, and I'm doing all these things. And I'm like, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And keep in mind, ever since I was super young, I always knew I had these capabilities and this relentless pursuit to do something with my life. And I saw this Wisconsin style of living that was kind of wrapped around, going to work in the tavern. And I'm like, I don't want this for me. This isn't supposed to be my life. But again, I was always teetering that dang line and causing myself to go backwards and then forwards and backwards and then forward. And you start to get in that loop. So again, I was laying in bed, and I'm like, this or I'm looking to my right and left, and then I go home and I'm laying in bed and I'm like, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And I remember filling out a transfer letter to the next university that I was trying to transfer into, and then I woke up that next day and I was accepted. And then that was a huge pivotal point in my life, going from the school that I was kicked out of, making the decision to transfer, putting myself in a different environment, and really trying to go down this like self-discovery path, personal development path, getting involved in things that I wasn't accustomed to getting involved with, being around people that I wasn't accustomed to being around. And I started to get almost like addicted to it. And I think when I started to kind of put myself in these areas of moving forward in life and starting to do the right things, it really heightened a part of me that was always there, but I was always in environments that didn't allow that piece of me to come out. And then I transferred, and I felt like I got my SHIT together, right? But there was still things lingering. And I think I was doing a good job of masking the situation, the results, and just waking up and walking into rooms and environments and putting on this smile as if I got it all figured out. I got it, all put together, but I was shattered inside. I was living with all these prior decisions that I knew that I was doing, that other people knew what I was doing, and also like even deeper rooted, like things that I just was not proud of. And I was depressed. I was anxious. I had major fears, major insecurities. I was not confident at all. And the only reason that I've had success early on in my life and early on in my career was because of a certain skill set that I had, right? But you can only go as far as your self-image. Your self-image will eventually catch up to you, especially in business, and business will just heighten it. You'll get to a certain point in your career or your life, right? And your self-image, your skill set will get you here super quick, and your self-image is just trickling wrong, and then you'll hit a plateau, and then you'll kind of start to go downward. And that's why a lot of businesses and people just fail. It's like they're not increasing the inward side of them. So again, it was a long journey of just going inward. So it's like I could bore everyone and talk about all these accolades, the $6 million in sales and all these club achievements and being the fastest of this and the fastest of that. But what I'm honestly most proud of in my current successes right now are the fact that I don't drink anymore. Like I've made the identity shift that this is not who I am. Like I do not drink anymore. I am not a drinker. I go to the gym every day. I have great relationships with my friends, where before I probably was I had acquaintances. I didn't really have core friend group, right? Great relationship with my family. And most importantly, I got a great relationship with myself. So, I think we're a creature of who we are. So the more that all of us can go inward and start to dissect who we really are and start to solve some of those deeper rooted, hidden issues that only we know that we have. When you can solve those things, you're going to start to see other areas of your life just expand subconsciously almost just throughout the process. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely like a long answer to what I feel my story is. Like I said, it hasn't been a linear one, but it's certainly one that I would not change it. Mm-hmm. Like in the moment, I certainly would have changed it, right? Yeah. But I am who I am now because of the trials and tribulations and the things that I've gone through throughout a majority of my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Where do you think the actions came from like a place of like emptiness or brokenness, or why do you think you responded to your environment in that way? Now looking back, right, being where you are now.
Yeah, that's a good question. Meaning like why did I do those things?
Right. Sometimes it's environment.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a combination because multiple people can be in the same environment, not. So,
yeah.
So, and you mentioned like the word insecurity.
It's a worth thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'll use it towards drinking, right?
Yeah.
I've talked about not drinking for 7 years. Now, it was always something that I saw growing up, right? Mm-hmm. And it was always something that like deep down, I knew I didn't really want it to be a part of my life, those in my life, future wife, future kids, right? I just didn't want my world to be wrapped around it. But those who continue to go back to drinking, it's just a worth thing. We don't feel worthy enough to break that habit, so we revert back to the habit that's killing us and that's making us feel shameful and guilty. we just don't see ourselves better than the bottle, right? Or we just don't see ourselves better than this environment, right? And we act in accordance to how we see ourselves and our worth. So I was just a low confidence, low self-esteem, low self-worth individual for a majority of my life. And until I could solve that problem and look in the mirror and be like, I love you, Jared. I love who I am. None of those things were even possible to change. So the journey for any of us in life is an inward journey, because if we want to become more, or if we want to have more in life, we really do truly have to become more inward and internally. It's like, if we want our external world to change, well, we better change our internal world, or our thoughts and things like that. So,
and that's a harder world to change because
it's so hard.
It's you, and it's super easy to make an external change. Like, instead of if I want to make more sales, instead of making 50 calls a day, I'm going to make 100. But it's easy to do that, right?
Right.
But it's not easy to change.
It's not. It's easy to change metrics, right? It's easy to change results. It's easy. Yeah. It's easy to manipulate results, right? Just through certain actions and behavioral, things like that. But it's not easy to change who we are, because it's just years of brain wiring. It's years of habits. It's years of pattern. It's years of choices. So the inward journey is the one that everyone always avoids, because it's the hard one. Yeah. Even though it's like we all live in a world where everyone wants a better lives, but no one's willing to do something about it. We're always trying to change all these external things. And then it gets to a certain point with all those external things that we're trying to change where they fail, or we just give up on them. Versus taking the inward approach and making a complete identity shift with how you see yourself. And then it's just who you are. Like, I don't make phone calls because it's like a task. It's just what I do. I don't go to the gym to look a certain way. I just go to the gym. It's just who I am. It's like, I don't read a book to finish a book. I'm a reader. I just read. So it's like, it's an identity shift that we all have to make in how we see ourselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
So.
And that can be tough, though, because there's layers to it. Like you said, too, sometimes when you're in those seasons and that repetition of the downward spiral is you see the external, but we don't even understand in that moment, just because I have a similar journey of pretty bad from elementary school on, in terms of choices, but not even recognizing it really until all of a sudden it's almost like a moment happens where you see it, and you see kind of the depravity or self-hatred of yourself of, I do this stuff because when I'm alone, I chase popularity and drinking all this stuff.
Sure.
Because when I come home and I'm finally by myself, I hate who I'm with.
100%.
I hate being alone. But it takes a little bit of time or self-reflection and actual effort to even understand that.
And I've always been fortunate enough, and I really don't know where this comes from. I really don't. To have a lot of self-awareness. I'm very reflective. I'm a very inward kind of dude. So all those times where I felt I'd go about my day, right? I'd be around all these people, all these clients, the gym, whatever it is I was doing, right? But then when I go home and I, shut that door, I am alone, right? And there's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely, right? And I felt extremely lonely for such a long period of my life. But I don't know if I would have had it any other way, because with that alone time, with also the ability to go inward, I kind of gave myself my own therapy, asking myself the right questions, journaling, reading books, watching reels, watching videos, talking to these people, talking to those people. It was always like I was like word vomiting in every area of my life so I could process it in my brain and then try to do my best to continue to move forward in life and correct it. It just took a little bit longer than what I would have preferred, Like, these changes didn't really start to shift and happen until I was about 28, 29. And that was just 4 years ago, right? So it's, like I said, it certainly hasn't been like a linear path, but it's definitely a path that I look back on, and I wouldn't change a thing. Like, I'm extremely grateful for. I remember one of my old bosses, Brian Hopkins, probably one of the best mentors I've ever had. He had asked me the question. I was like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And he was talking about like my underages and DUI because it was early on in my career. And it was something that I shared in the interview process, just kind of started to open up and be honest about it. And I was like, it's a bad thing, man. It was horrible, right? And he just kept asking it. And he kept asking it. And I remember sitting in the car one day outside my office. I said, you know what? It was a good thing. Because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be having these conversations. I wouldn't be who I am. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if that didn't happen. So every piece along our journeys is taking us in the direction that we're all supposed to go. And I truly have faith and I believe that. But I do think like we all need to get to a point where we just, every day, we just make really good decisions. And that's the cool thing to do. Versus early on, we learned that the cool thing to do is to be a rebel and to like, you know what I mean? And where that comes from, I'm not entirely sure, but it's like, it seems like all kids kind of go through that pattern of trying to fit in and be cool. And the way of fitting in and being cool is sometimes making decisions that aren't in alignment with how we truly see ourselves.
Yeah.
So
you said for that kind of that turning point for you was getting accepted into the new school, but then you kind of changed your mindset, but there was still failures and ups and downs throughout that time frame. And I think most people, I think it just needs to be known that it's, for some people, it's, yes, this is the day that everything changed and I was a different person from that point. For other people, it's like, I made a change, but then I still screwed up a bunch for the next 5 years. Like, how did you get through after you decided I want to make a change and still experiencing those trials and temptations in that time? How do you get through that period of time before you feel like, before you hit where you are now?
Yeah, I wish I had a perfect answer to that. I think it's unique to everyone, but I do know that we make decisions or choices in two ways. It's either because we make the choice or because of catastrophe. You know, it's either like we put ourselves in positions where our back is against the wall and we're at just rock bottom. There's no other direction to go except just forward. And I think I've had enough catastrophe situations in my life where it was just enough. Like I was sick and tired of being sick and tired and feeling this way about myself. Again, keep in mind that this whole journey, I was excelling, like from a result standpoint. Yeah. But I don't care about results. I really don't. Like everything that we had listed off there, yes, those are my numbers. You know, I think it's important to share business numbers kind of within the business. I don't care about any of that. I really don't. I'm a character-driven dude. I'm not a goal-driven dude. I think the character side is more important. I think when we continue again to go inward and heal ourselves, our characters, our insecurities, fears, doubts, etc., the results are just going to come in the process. You know, where, so it's like I don't have a perfect answer for that, except I just had enough crappy situations that happened in my life where enough was enough. And I started to finally lean into my most secret desires and who I truly wanted to see myself become, which is someone that doesn't drink, which is someone that excels in his career but does it the right way, someone that builds a great brand for themselves in every area of their life, someone that's healthy, mind, body, and spirit, someone that has great relationships with family, coworkers, clients, and friends, pieces that I can be remembered for. No one's going to remember that I sold $6 million in sales in 8 years or all the club levels I achieved. That stuff doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. Yeah. It's a goal, right? And the goal is just a reminder that I'm moving in the right direction. That's all it is. So
I think that's applicable to the sick and tired of being sick and tired is applicable to any part of your life, whether
100%.
That's your finances, your faith, your business, your Dave Ramsey talk. People get out of debt when they call on the show. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's why they develop a budget and start taking control of their finances. Or with any sort of addiction. When we had Brett Knutson on with Driftless Recovery, and he talked about rock bottom and his story, and it was like we asked what his defining moment. It was, dude, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like I just kept doing this and doing this and doing this. There was one point where I was just sick and tired,
just done with it.
So I think that can be applicable for any part of life. And I remember talking in that interview too, is like, you don't have to let it get to that point, right? Like you can make it, you can make a choice to not let it get to that point.
Some people just have a hard time with that.
And I think it is harder to make that choice if you're not at rock bottom. You know what I mean? Because what's the cost then? If you're doing it, what's the cost not to do it? If you're not at that point, what's the cost not to?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's not really that bad.
Yeah.
Like going out with friends and drinking, it's not really that bad.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But if you get 3 DUIs and you kill somebody in an accident,
Right.
well, what's the cost
Yeah.
of it then? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And I read this book, and I can't remember what it was called. I think it's called Secret Desires, or I don't remember, okay? But in the book, it talks about our public desires, our secret desires, etc. And we all can sit in a quiet room, and we all know what our most secret desires are in life, with who we want to become, what we want to go after, what we want to have, be, etc. Right? So drinking's not that bad. Like it really isn't. Too much drinking can potentially be bad, but drinking was bad for me for one reason and one reason only. And all these other decisions were bad for one reason and one reason only. Because deep, deep, deep down in my most secret desires, it truly wasn't how I saw myself. So every single day I was going against how I saw myself. And there were little chips away every single day against my self-image, my worth, and my confidence. Basically every day saying, Jared, you can't follow through with anything that you want for yourself. And then you just start to accept that reality and make decisions contingent on that reality. So like, I don't care. I'm around drinking all the time still. And if you want to drink, you can drink. If you want to do this, you can do this. It just doesn't align with who I am. And so when I go against that, it doesn't make me too happy when I reflect on it the next day or the next week or the next month. In fact, I start to feel very shameful and guilty because I'm not living in alignment with how I see myself.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah. And I think it's easier said than done to say, well, we don't have to let ourselves get to rock bottom, because it's almost putting rational thought on an irrational way of living. Like when you're in that moment of almost self-destructive behavior, you aren't doing or making what the world would consider rational decisions. So then to almost like twist it and be like, yeah, but if you were thinking properly, you could get. Like,
I wasn't thinking properly.
I'm not thinking properly, which is why I'm at where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was just living, man. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
I thought when it happened. That's when I did the thinking. I'm like, oh, probably shouldn't have done that.
And it's just routine. Everybody talks about the hamster wheel. Like when you're in that life, it's just this hamster wheel, and everybody has moments, whether or not they're rock bottom moments, of all of a sudden it's like this gained perspective of I finally kind of stepped off that hamster wheel and I look out from an outward perspective at that situation, and it goes, oh, I need to change something.
Yeah.
But everybody has, like, pick anything in your, not even bad things. We all have those moments where, man, holy cow, where have the last 3 months gone? I've just been in this grind.
I have this habit wheel. Yeah, the hamster wheel. Yeah.
It's like you just feel like you get pressed out and you go, I want to change that.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. It's like, I felt like, and I always so giving up drinking is probably the best decision I've ever made. So I know I keep going back to that within this, but you were talking about the hamster wheel. It's like, I mean, the hamster wheel for drinking was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now we're getting to Friday. Work's done. Now we go out. And then like we are hungover on Saturday, and then we're hungover on Sunday, and then we feel like crap, and then we go back and we do it again. We go back and we do it again. And we're looking at our friends, and we're like, God, man, I'm never drinking again, man. I feel like crap. And then you do it again. It's like, versus being intuitive enough to like listen to that, like I'm never drinking again. I hate feeling like this. Like I'm sick of getting to Friday, and then these are my patterns. I'm living 2 different lives. This just doesn't align with who I am. And it took years of that hamster wheel to finally be like, I'm done. So again, I know I keep going back to the drinking, but like, again, from 14 to 31, I've been doing it on a weekly basis. Like all the time, and I didn't abuse it. And anyways, I wasn't waking up on Mondays and drinking all day, and Tuesdays, but I would have defined myself as an alcoholic because of how I felt it affected me internally and some of the decisions that I was making, right? So to give that up has been huge for me. So I, again, apologize for going back to it, but it's probably the biggest thing that I've given up that has kind of opened up my eyes to everything else that started changing. So.
No, I think that's relatable though.
Yeah.
That phrase, who can't relate with the phrase, I'm never doing it again.
Oh, God.
You count up the amount of times people have said, I'm never drinking again. It's a lot.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of times where we're never drinking.
Or the times where you're like, you're going out to drink the next day and you're like, I don't even know what sounds good, but I know I got a drink. So like, it's like, I'll get back to you, server. Like, let's just get a bloody, or like, it's like, we don't even know what sounds good, but yet we still feel we have to drink.
Yeah. And then you mentioned too, the character is what you focused on to find success. How much of your success now, again, in the ways that you don't care about, but how have you seen that increase or growth in that success since doing that? Because we love that. That's part of it. Like focusing on the character, and I care about that.
Yeah.
And it does just tend to, a lot of times, lead to success.
Yeah, I would say in the early stages of my career when I had low character, I was still driving business, but I felt like I was manipulating it. I was pushy. I was selfish, right? Where now with this more like higher sense of character and just looking in the mirror and just appreciating who I am and loving myself, it feels as if business just happens now in the process. Like I wake up and I do the same things every day because it's who I am, and whatever happens kind of thing. I'm not fixated on this outcome anymore. It's just I'm consistent, I'm disciplined, I do the same things every day, and it just works out, right? So the way in which I'm doing business now with the higher character, the higher confidence, the higher self-image, not having as many fears or insecurities or triggers or anxieties, business is just more fun. Right? Because the other way of doing it, you're not doing it the right way. Right? And sometimes it's hard. Like in the beginning, we don't have any clients, you don't have any money, you don't have any income. It's like you almost have to be a little bit selfish. But it just wasn't fun that way, where now I can just do my thing every day and I can go out and just be happy with what I'm doing, and business just kind of comes my way. It's just, a little bit different.
Do you think a lot of, and I'm just kind of making this up, I don't know if it's true or not, but do you think helping inspire you to make these changes?
I still have to stay very persistent, though. People don't think about their clothing, so it's like, hey, man, you around tomorrow? You want to take a look at a couple new things? It's like, and I know you probably aren't thinking about your clothing at all.
Right.
Which is why you contact me.
And then it's like silence for like 10 attempts, right? And I'm like, yeah. Then I start getting insecure. I'm like, am I bothering you?
We'll get into the sales part of it. I want to talk about that because you're very good at it, like I said. But do you think helping inspire you to make these changes, part of it was being around? I mean, you're around very successful people in what you do and seeing the way that they look. So do you think the proximity to these kind of people helped inspire you to make those changes?
Yeah. So let me take a different approach to that question, because I got to give a ton of credit to Tom James, number one. So our mission statement is we build people and people build the company. So we're heavily invested into our people and diving into those fears and insecurities and just, coming alongside our people and understanding that your results are a matter of who you are, right? So I remember sitting when I transferred to Eau Claire from UW Stout, the university that I'd gotten let go from or kicked out of. I was sitting in the back corner of a sales class, a marketing class, and Tom James came in at a time where I was in rock bottom, and I was sitting in the back corner, and all these other companies came into, and they gave their company pitch, and all these other companies, nothing really stuck out. Tom James stuck out because they came in there and they talked really nothing about what they did. At least I don't remember hearing it at the time, and everything about who they were going to make you become. So at that point, again, being at rock bottom, I'm like, light bulb went off. I'm like, I need you guys. I need the help. I need the support. I need to be around these people, these leaders, these principles, this mission statement, right? So I got to give a lot of credit to Tom James in regards to how invested they are into their people and the personal development world. And I needed that at that point in my time, in my life. So it's like, it's like they found me and I found them at the perfect time. But then going off of your question, it's like I'm around very successful people like every day, and the types of conversations that we have fire me up.
Yeah,
because it's who I am. I'm a business guy. I talk shop.
Yeah,
right. I'm an idealist. So it's like these are daily conversations. I like seeking to understand who someone is and how they got to where they are. That's why I love watching your guys' podcast. These stories resonate with me, and they always have. One, because it's who I wanted to become. Two, it's because it's something I struggled with. So I was always trying to find a nugget or two in a video that I watch or in a conversation I have. I love learning about people's stories and getting really deep with it. So to answer your question, I mean, the quality of people that I get to be around, which you know some of them, it's huge.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's important too, just surrounding yourself with the right people and being around people that you want to be like. Who are your top 5 friends? I mean, what is it called? Where you become
the
you
5
are who
people.
you are,
Who
who
you
you
hang out with.
hang out with. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so true. And you get to hang out with a bunch of really successful people. And I think as a result, that just naturally elevates your game too.
100%.
I know for sure it does for us, and talking to people on this podcast, and it's for our listeners. But man, I get as much out of the conversation sitting here talking with people too.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's really good. So I mean, you're commission only.
Yeah.
Sales job.
Yep.
That can be a big fear for a lot of people. Obviously, real estate is the same. So how was that jumping into a full commission position?
You know, for me, it didn't bother me that much.
Okay.
There were some uncertainties, right, as I was talking with my folks about where I might take my career path. And, I had an internship with a company that, $62,000 base salary and gas card and all these perks and just company trips and, commission on top of it, right? It's like, ooh, security, right? But the way in which I looked at those careers didn't really align with what I wanted for myself, because the way I looked at those careers is because of the base salary, because of all those perks that the company was giving you. The way I looked at it was, now they own me. Like, I don't have a lot of freedom. I don't have a lot of flexibility. I don't have a lot of autonomy. I felt like a salesperson, a number, where if I maybe wasn't producing, it's pretty easy for them to just let you go. Where the commission route stood out to me, because so long as I put my best foot forward every day and did really, really well, I felt as if kind of like I own the company in a way, right? Or I was like a partner in the company.
Yeah.
I had, with those gigs, when you're doing well, or the commission only world, you do have freedom. You can be an idealist. You do have flexibility and autonomy, so long as you're doing well, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not doing well, then it's like you're going to get micromanaged left and right, or at least feel that way. If you can't look at micromanaging as a way of just someone coming alongside you and just trying to help you get to where ultimately you want to go. But, for me, I didn't have too many fears around the commission. I loved it. It was I could look in the mirror every day and just challenge myself. I would say my mom and dad were a little bit more hesitant on my choice. I bet at the time would have loved if I would have went more of the security route. But I would say they're probably fairly happy with the decision that I've made now, because, I do love what I do. I love the clients that I get to service. I love the fact that I get to wake up every morning and create, versus going down a path of feeling like an employee or feeling owned, or them being able to jerk me around how they want to jerk me around based on my results and what I'm producing for the company. So, but yeah, I would say it definitely didn't scare me.
Yeah.
I didn't have too many concerns with it.
I mean, commission only people get a bad rap because you can think that they're just trying to get a sale, make a quick buck, or like they need this sale to make money. But and there's exceptions to this, but I truly think that if you work with a commission only salesperson in whatever it is, buying a car, buying a house, buying clothes, getting a loan, you are going to get a better level of service, because that person is directly incentivized to get referrals from you and to provide a great level of service to you to ultimately come back, because they don't get paid if you don't.
I 100% agree.
So are there people that cut corners or just try to get a sale? Sure. And those people shouldn't be in business. But I think at large, you get a better level of service when you work with somebody who's incentivized to, what can I do? Dave Scogan, the boomerang there. What we're doing, is it going to bring the customer back?
100%.
Is it going to bring referrals as a result of what I'm doing? So same deal. I mean, I wasn't scared by getting into real estate. I've been public about, I had like $1,200 to my name when I got into a commission only job selling real estate.
I had zero.
Yeah.
I got a loan from my grandma at the time, because it's like when I moved over to the cities, I didn't have money for the security deposit.
Wow. Yeah.
I tell you what, my grandma was very diligent on getting her money back. if I was like one day late, she's like talking to my mom, then my mom's talking to me about like, you didn't pay grandma. And I'm like, so I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like I could have had all the fears in the world, like, oh my God, I'm strapped for money, like all the uncertainties, all the fears, right? And I think what helped with the commission only path is I was so obsessed with where I was going to work at the time, like so bought into their mission statements, so bought into their principles, their leadership, where I was going, the quality of the people, the culture. I remember sitting in a sales room and my old boss asking me like, what do you want to do in your first year? And then I'm like, what does everyone else do in their first year? And they're like, President's Club. I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Right. As I was so obsessed with like just being the best.
Yeah.
And I think at the time, maybe those did stem from insecurities just to kind of, put myself at being the best because it masked right the root problem. But that still lies within me today. It's just done with a higher level of character.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. I mean, for a salesman, believing in the product you're selling sure does help the sales game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So for you, Tom James, have you always had a passion for clothing? Have you always been a clothing fashion guy? Or...
I get this question a lot. And it's like, in the beginning when I would answer that, like years ago, I would always say like, no, man, like I wore sweats and sweatshirts and gym clothes all the time because I was playing sports in college and high school. It's just, that was my wardrobe.
Yeah.
But when I really started to think about that, I was always someone that had to have the best shoes, had to have everything from shoes to shorts or jeans or like just coordinate, So I was hyper focused on how everything looked together. Right. And I had a baseball coach back in the day. It's like, it's not how you play, it's how you look, right? It's not whether you win or lose the game. It's how you look doing it. Right. So it's like when I answer that question now, I think I'm in the perfect arena as far as the career goes and the product that I'm selling, because I can put together an outfit like that, right? Yeah. If you talk to me about interior designing my home, I'm gonna get a panic attack. It's like I can think of the concept, but then when I start thinking of like, what's the art on the wall, what's the floor rug, what's everything gonna like really look like? I have to find someone to help me out with that, because otherwise it'll never get done. Yeah. Like I'll just avoid it because I don't have the skill set for it. But then when it comes to clothing, the right shoes with the right socks, with the right pants, with the like everything, it's like I can put it together like that.
Yeah.
All the client has to do is just give me a concept. Where is he going? Who is he seeing? What types of pieces he wants to get, etc. So, I thought, I was like, I don't think I was ever going to get into clothing sales, but I think I landed in the perfect industry, to be honest. Yeah. So,
hey, your tux game is only as good as your socks.
Yeah, right.
I'm telling you.
Or lack thereof.
I got no shows, baby. I got no shows on. So I have socks on. There's no shows with my loafers. That's a thing, guys. That's a thing. Okay.
I'm just saying, for like your wedding, like you better have some sick socks. Like your tux game's only as good as your socks. You can't be wearing just old Hanes knee-high black socks. Come on. If you are,
you better be careful. I'm going to call you tomorrow.
So what are, for a younger salesperson that's thinking about getting into a commission-only job, what are some practical things that they should look to do?
I think you have to go inward and ask yourself if sales is the right career for you, number one, because it is not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the movies, all the discussions that are wrapped around sales when we're younger, it's a concept of wining and dining your clients.
Coffees for closers.
Coffees.
That is the best scene in the world.
Glengarry Glen Ross. Dude, I didn't
put that coffee down.
Coffees for closers. You can't close shit. You are shit. Hit the bricks, pal. Don't get me started on that. I did a whole college project on that movie. So, where was I? What was I saying?
Don't look at the movies and it's not as glamorous as they make it out.
No,
to be,
it's
basically.
like, I think you have to go inward and ask yourself, are you cut out for sales?
Yeah.
Because people see the glamour, not the behind the scenes work.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of just grittiness.
What is that? What are the behind the scenes work for you?
All the dials, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, it's heavy dialing.
Yeah.
With if you're in direct sales, at least, right? Or a clientele-based building business versus like an account manager where you have like this book of business to manage. So real estate, right? Financial advising, what I do, building a business. Like if you're just an entrepreneur and building a business, you're getting up real early and you're working real early from the moment that the revenue generating activities start. I'm understanding the business and working on your skill set, all your dialogues, your craft, studying objections and how to overcome them, right? For the sole purpose of helping the client expand his mindset wrapped around doing business with you. Then when the day starts, 7:30, 8, right? It's all being hyper-focused on revenue-generating activities, your prospecting, asking for referrals, your networking, your calling, your dialing, your LinkedIn messaging, your emailing, et cetera. Just heavy, heavy outbound attempts just to try to get in front of as many people to show them what you're about.
How many hours a day is that for you?
In the beginning?
Yeah.
I would say with the first 6 months to a year, I was working 80 to 100 hours a week, probably 7 days a week.
Is there a percent of your day that was always towards revenue generating activities?
All day.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was, there was obviously things in my line of work that need to get done too, like entering in your alterations and handling your returns, handling your exchanges, like sitting down and actually adding names into your CRM platform, et cetera. But I tried to manage my day where it was like those were done after work or before work. So then like between the hours of like 8 and 5, like a pretty, like a person's working hours where I could actually see them for the most part. It was revenue generating activities only, going up to people on the street if they had like, they were sharped or they were dressed sharply and just introducing myself.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's called a float, right? Where it's like, I see someone that's dressed nice. I go up to them and just say, hey man, like, where do you get your stuff? Like, looks good. And then they tell me, right? And I'm like, I do custom clothing for people in the area here. Do you mind if I get your card and just hop on a call with you sometime and just tell you what it's about? So just like all those introductions. I stood at the top of an escalator in downtown Minneapolis for 2 hours straight and introduced myself to every single individual that got up that escalator.
Wow.
And I got many Heismans. But I didn't care, right? I was in this like relentless pursuit to get to where it is I wanted to go in life, and what I wanted to have and be and become, etc. So I didn't care about the rejection at all. Like it was just part of the process. I don't want to do business with everyone.
Yeah.
Anyways, I want to do business with people that want to do business with me. I want to do business with people that like view what I'm doing as just helping them. I don't want to sit down with someone and have to sell them, convince them, persuade them. Like that's exhausting. Like I want to sit down with people that have an open mind to what I do and that allow me to do what I'm good at within a realm that they're financially okay spending.
Yep.
That's it.
I think the problem is a lot of people think, oh, I'd be so good at that. I'd be so good at sitting down with somebody and helping them go do that. But they're not willing to stand at the top of the escalator for 2 hours and shake hands. So the same thing with real estate. I have so many people that reach out, oh, I would love to do your job. I would love to be a real estate agent and show people these beautiful homes and help them. Like, yeah, that is the fun part, man. Right. That is the fun part. And once you get a client that wants to work with you and you're looking at houses and building a relationship, like that is the fun part. The not fun part is making 100 phone calls a day when you're starting out and working with people in Soldiers Grove and driving an hour and a half to go sell a $80,000 house that's on the market for a year and a half. Like
you're like, I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah, for sure. No, fill in the blank. Being a landlord, I just put out a post of like, being a landlord's great and owning real estate's great, but people don't see the dirty hard work of scraping floors when I started, and like the first house I bought had dog poop everywhere, and like the dirty hard work that it takes to get to have the opportunity to be able to make an impact in that one-on-one situation. So just because you think that you would be really good in that situation or in the selling a house situation or fill in the blank of the sales position, you have to be comfortable going out and getting the opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's where the dirty hard work
I think that's where people need to go inward and ask themselves, are they cut out for that kind of work?
Yeah.
That kind of pressure?
Yeah.
Right.
And what's your why behind it? Why are you really doing this? Because that has to be deeper than at first it can be to make money, and that could be motivate you, but that's not going to last, right?
I think my why, I just love people.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I love building relationships with people.
Yeah.
I've just learned that I don't like building relationships with a lot of people or everyone, right? So it's like, when I can find my people, right, the clients that, like my clients, maybe not necessarily like my one-off type situations or et cetera, it's like, I just love helping people.
Yeah.
I love helping people that have an open mind to being helped.
Yeah.
Right? That aren't closed-minded. So, I mean, my why is just I get to wake up every morning and serve. Be a servant to the world. And clothing just happens to be what I serve people with. And what comes with clothing or the transaction, there's a lot more. Relationship, getting to know people, a certain level of trust with each other, et cetera. So, my why is just, I just like working with people and helping people. I like solving problems for people, right? I've been a constant master at trying to solve problems for myself. I also like, becoming a master at solving problems for other people too.
Yep.
So, I would say that would be my why.
Yeah. Do you think that the clothes that you help people with, does that have a big impact on the business people that you're selling them to?
Yeah, I think I feel where people need to. So I work in Chippewa Falls, Eau Claire, Menominee. I work in La Crosse, Onalaska, Holman. I work in Minneapolis. Right. Those are kind of the markets that I cover pretty consistently, and they're all a little bit different. I would say La Crosse and Eau Claire are fairly similar, where we fall into the notion of I don't really care how I look or what I wear. I don't want to come across as too uppity or too bougie. I'm not a clothes horse. My clients don't really care what I look like. I still do business by dressing like this, et cetera. Like all these like internal things we tell ourselves. Over in Minneapolis, it is a little bit more like you dress up like with shirts and slacks at a minimum and like occasional suits and sport coats. And then you'll have like your niche industries that are fairly casual. But I think, where people have to have a little bit better understanding with their wardrobes or with their images is, we're all a walking billboard every single day that we step foot in the world, right? And right. We have to we have to brand ourselves accordingly. We have to market ourselves accordingly. If you're having an office day, right, where you're seeing no one, wear whatever you want to wear, right? But if you're going out for a ribbon cutting, or you're going on up in Eau Claire, like WEAU on their like a news session, or you're going to all these bigger events, bigger parties, bigger functions, weddings, funerals, galas, business meeting out in New York, or whatever it might be. I just think it's super important to throw on your best. I think it's super important to just look the part, even if you don't feel like dressing up, right? This isn't the most comfortable stuff to wear. I get it, but it's about the cause. It's about the client. It's a certain level of respect in regards to how we dress. And I'm not going to lie, when I have this on versus like super casual clothing, I do feel differently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like it does increase my productivity and confidence and things like that, especially when I have a piece on that isn't just stuffy and stingy. Like we don't have a lot of options in West Central Wisconsin, La Crosse, right? It's like if we're going to go get something, it's like blue, black, gray, charcoal, right? Like let's make clothing be an extension of one's personality. Let's get clothing for the right functions and right areas. Let's get the best. Let's invest into ourselves. Let's invest into our brand and our market, especially when we have situations that pop up that give us a reason to dress up. It's like, I don't know why people have fallen into the trap of like, they just don't care, because deep down they do. People care what they look like and how they perceive themselves to the world. If you didn't care, and I'll use this as an analogy, if you're going to go on a date with a girl for the first time, you're going to look like crap? Right. No, you're going to put on your best.
Yep.
But why is it that when we solidify the sale, right? She's my girlfriend now, she's my future wife. Now it's like when we go out, I can just look like a slob. It's like mission accomplished in the beginning, look my best to get this, and then like now I don't care, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like every situation that you're going to throw yourselves into, why not just look your best? you know, if you feel like you may need to.
I think also don't be someone you're not, right? So like myself, I'm not a guy that wears a sport coat every single day. Do I enjoy it for nicer stuff? Yes, absolutely. But like I said, this is my average thing. But I've also seen realtors show up to showings in athletic shorts and a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Or it's like, really?
Just because that's you.
Yeah. The one thing that I appreciate about you though, Austin, is even when you dress casually, you have a certain way you want things to fit and look.
Yeah.
As far as piecing it all together.
Yeah.
Right. Some people just throw on this like super big baggy t-shirt, these raggedy jeans, and then a pair of dress shoes, right? And then they'll go do like the showing.
Yeah.
You put some attention into it. Sure. So it's like, if I'm cool with people dressing casual, I have all casual stuff, t-shirts, polos, jeans, etc. Yep. If people are going to wear that, I want it to fit them really nice. I want it to look good. I want everything to coordinate together. It's like buying a vehicle, right? If we're going to go invest into a vehicle, we see this vehicle, right? But what do we really notice? The rims, the tires, the stitching on the interior, how it's all coordinated together.
Those rims better
sticks
spin.
Out. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So it's like in your outfit, it's like throw on a good t-shirt, throw on a good pair of jeans, make sure the shoe and the belt goes with the outfit, 100%. And go about your day.
Yeah.
If you're going to go to a big event and you're going to wear a suit or a
wear a top hat with it,
just wear something that really, the whole outfit that really looks good together. Yeah. So
I'm a top hat guy. That's just who I am. I don't do a showing without wearing a top hat. No, but now I feel a little bit convicted. Like, dude, we should have worn suits to this one.
I was actually thinking about.
I was hoping you weren't actually, because like I know you don't dress up that much, right, dude? I was like, please don't dress up specifically for me.
Literally 7
like,
minutes
don't
ago,
do
you're
that.
talking about something. I go, are we this dumb that we wouldn't wear suits to this? Dressing nice.
I honestly,
golden opportunity.
Like I said, I really don't care what people wear day to day. I really don't. If you want to dress super cash, dress super cash, but invest in it.
My wife always tells me I'm the best in nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I apologize. I'll cut that one out.
That's whatever. It's like we're just being us, right?
It's like a Michael Scott quote, right? He goes, I know people love women when they're just dressed skimpy, not wearing much. I think women look best when they're completely naked.
You're probably gonna have to take that one out, right?
We'll see.
Have fun editing like 90% of this episode,
Right.
Yeah. So like I said, I really don't care what people wear. I just want them to present themselves in the specific occasion properly.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, again, I have Eau Claire clients and lacrosse clients, and it's totally different. Like, right. I'm cool with them dressing casually.
Yeah.
Right. I just want everything to coordinate. Like, that's what I care about. I want you to look your best.
Yeah.
Right?
But be a professional. Don't show up to a showing with athletic shorts and a sweatshirt.
Yeah, and like,
or split-toed sandals.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, be a professional, and especially in an industry like real estate where it's very easy to get a license, and you can kind of be whoever you want to be and brand whoever you want. I think be professional in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, you feel different when you wear that. And actually, I had a friend of mine tell me that early on when I got my first work from home sales job, cold calling. She was like, dress up, like start your day at a certain time, and just because you're working out of your dorm room doesn't mean wear shorts and a t-shirt. Wear some nice clothes. You'll feel better. You'll present yourself better. Even in a cold calling position over the phone, you're going to sound more professional, more authoritative, confident in what you're wearing. So
I think it's just important to have somewhat of a consistent uniform day to day. Like, it's like the people that we serve and work with, right? They want to see consistency.
Yep.
So if we're like dressing like this and dressing like that and dressing like this and dressing like that, it's like, who are we really working with here, kind of thing. In every area of our lives is a different opportunity to dress a little bit differently, right? So again, like I'm biased, right? This is what I do. At the end of the day, I just want to help people look their best for the right occasions, right? And I want to do my best to help them on their like day-to-day uniform and opening up their brain to the idea of having a uniform. I think we've gotten in a world where there used to be a uniform years ago, right? And now it's like dress for your day. Yeah. Well, that puts so much pressure on individuals that lack the skill set on dressing for their day. They don't know what to do, right? And then some people are like really good about putting their outfits together day to day. So it's like the whole world has just gotten kind of like sloppy casual, right? Especially in the business world too.
Yeah. I'm sloppy casual. But hey, it's okay. Always that cliche.
I still like you.
Dress for the job. Dress for the job you want.
I still like you, and I'm still here to help if you need it. So.
Appreciate it. Hey, dress good or look good, feel good, right?
Yeah, right.
Good, play good.
Yeah.
Jared, how can people go to get a hold of you?
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I got 2 accounts, kind of a business account and a personal account. I'm on Facebook. I can share my number and all that stuff too. But this is a very behind the scenes kind of off the grid of kind of going about it. So I don't have a storefront, a brick and mortar store that you come and just walk into and shop around. We meet at your home or your office. We go through a whole experience, a whole consultation process to figure out, how we want to evolve your closet, or if we just want to get something for something specific coming up in your life and really designing that. So Jared Jaquish is the name. I'm a haberdasher.
Spell the last name.
Yeah. Jaquush.
Haberdasher.
Yeah.
Name in this episode.
Yeah. But again, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, it's all by my name. Okay. My business account is the Midwest Clothier. So, boom. So, yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
really
absolutely. Good. Thanks.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We sincerely hope that you found value in today's episode and learned at least one thing that you can take back and implement into your lives and businesses. As always, we appreciate your support and hope you can all find a way to pay it forward this week.